KILR. KILR Games.
Hello gamers, simmers, and pilots. I am the Killer Gamer and welcome to my tour around the world featuring Microsoft Flight Simulator 2000. I've always wondered if this was the bastard child of flight simulators, just based on what I read, because Flight Simulator 5 was a big thing because it had textures. Flight Simulator 98 was an improvement off of that. But then the Flight Simulator 2000 came out, and although it had better looking textures and a lot more airports.
In the array with taking runway 16 to the south. Grand Rapids. Gordon Newstrom Field. Echo 580 downwind. I smell a fart. Gordon Newstrom.
We'll get to that in a moment. But so I had a lot more airports that you could really go and fly around. It was like almost like the new standard for the flight simulators after that. From what I understand, it was hard to really run decently when it first came out on the computers that were around. And I know there were quite a bit of complaints. And then there's the issue with graphics. Now, although I had Flight Simulator 2000 when it first came out, I only played it a little bit, like maybe 3 or 4 flights, and then I just kind of like, I was playing Flight Simulator 98 more because I had ProFlight 98, which I have them sitting in the back because I have all these binders. So I didn't really get a chance to really look at the graphics that much at the time on a real Windows 98 machine. I just know now that I've actually playing Flight Simulator 2000 quite a bit, obviously with this tour, I've noticed that whether it's in VMware or whether it's natively on Windows 7, I can't get the graphics to look decent. For some reason, you may be looking at this thinking, well, what's wrong with them? Well, look at the clouds. For example, the clouds. And when we start moving, you'll start seeing these weird lines start showing up, and there's like this color banding going on. It's not really smooth. The Windows 7 tends to smooth that out a little better, but you can still see it. And I've tried PC Emulator, which with an actual SVGA emulated card for that time period. He's going down the wrong runway. You can, if you choose one of the native window resolutions and then put it full screen, it looks even better. It still has that banding, but it looks much better. It's not until you use a actual dedicated 3D card that I've noticed it looks much better. But even then, it's not perfect. Like the text, for example, comes up all garbled. Little lights wind up being like squares. The sun is squarish shape. And I don't know if that's because it's not on a native machine, it's emulated. I have no idea at this point. I have parts to put together a Windows 98 machine because, well, I had one at one time. So I may look into getting that set up again just so I can test it and see if I can get this looking better. If I can, I will try to do my videos on that. I'll just see if I can not export the video, but I'll put the video, if that makes sense, into like my main computer and then try to record it with OBS. I don't know. Or I may just record it separately and just do the voiceover afterwards. I don't know yet. I'll worry about it when we get to it. But for right now, I don't want to, leave this simulator behind. We got a long, many years of flights ahead of us. Because we're not just going from big international airport to international airport. We're hitting international airports and regional, municipal, and private airports. So we're doing a pretty good tour around each state. And eventually it's going to be other countries and territories and islands, and I mean, we're really going to be getting as much as we possibly can from this flight simulator. If you've ever wanted to see all the different areas that Flight Simulator has, this is the show. This is the show that you're going to want to check out, and hopefully you'll subscribe and like the videos and all that, just to show your support. It's nice to know that these videos mean something to people. It's something that I want to do for myself, but in the same time, I don't want to keep it to myself. I want to share it with the rest of you. But with that said, let's go ahead and talk about where we're going to be flying this time around. And here we are, Grand Rapids, Itasca County, I almost said company, Gordon Newstrom. We're going to be flying right back to where we were the last time, and that is Duluth. But we're actually going here to Superior. So Duluth is on this side, Superior is on this side, and we're going to be landing right here at Richard I. Bong, or just Bong Airport. And I found this airport interesting because of how it's designed. It's designed like a boomerang or an arrowhead, if you with the it's got an arrow kind of thing. I just found this interesting, and it's got this tiny little taxiway that connects the two together. Now the weird thing about this is that in Flight Simulator 5 and 98, heck, even 4, at least from what I've noticed, like downloading content, it's not shaped like a boomerang. It's got one runway, and it's got a grass runway that crosses it. And I don't know if maybe it used to be like that. It's very possible that it used to be like that. And then they got rid of the grass runway, and they just added the secondary paved runway off to the side like this, and then put that little taxiway connection. That almost makes sense. It almost makes sense, because it's like, oh, we're getting some more flights coming in here. Let's just get rid of that grass runway, and we'll put, where do we put this other runway at? We don't want it to interfere with what we got. Well, we'll just put it off here to the side. Well, how are we going to get to it? I'll just put this little, pavement connection to it. It'll work. Maybe that's what it was. Maybe that's what happened. Anyway, that is where we're going, and that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. And you may have noticed that there was some pilot flying in saying he smells a fart. Maybe it was his own. I don't know. What the heck is that? That, folks, is FSTraffic. In this case, it's FSTraffic 2, which I will show you right here. It's as busy as it gets. This is how you can get air traffic into Flight Simulator 2000. It doesn't have air traffic as a default. Same as Flight Simulator 98. It doesn't either. Or the ones before that, for that matter. So, you can get this out of the box, and it will generate air traffic for you on ILS runways, landing and takeoff. And you don't have to do anything else if you don't want to, other than converting aircraft that it can use. And unfortunately, it can't use every aircraft, but it can seem to use a good amount. That's if you use the FSTraffic 2.0. But that's all it does. Is on the ILS, it'll just land and disappear and then reappear and take off. It's kind of like World Traffic 3 on X-Plane, when they don't have all the taxiway routes all defined and stuff. It just like comes, lands on the runway and disappears and reappears and takes off. So same thing here. However, you can record your own air traffic, which is like a macro, like you'd use on Microsoft Word or Excel, where you start the recording and everything that you do, it records until you stop. Same concept here. You press record, you are in the aircraft. Whatever you do is what the air traffic will do. So turning on your lights, if you're parked, it'll stay parked until you move. You can go down the taxiways and all that good stuff. And then with FSTraffic 2, you can categorize it by airline. So that way you only have certain airlines showing up at certain airports or in certain spots. So you can really dig in and detail this out, which is really cool. And then in addition to that, as you're recording, you can insert messages. And they can be associated with WAV files. You'll notice that there's a message that pops up here on the screen. Think of it as closed caption. But then there's a WAV file that goes with it. And so what I've done is I've created custom voices using text-to-speech, using a variety of different voices from different types of text-to-speech, like Ivona and I can't think of the other ones. Cestral, yeah, I think that's another one, or Cestral, Sepral, something like that. There are ones that I use on FSX with Vox ATC. And with Vox ATC, it's been an inspiration for this. So I use it for general aviation at the smaller airports that don't have any control towers. And that's just to give it a local flair. And with it, since I am using text-to-speech, I can have a little bit of fun with it. And so that's kind of what you heard. And I add some radio static in there to give it, a little bit more of a realistic edge, and I think it works out pretty well. And the type of work that I'm putting into this, I don't think anyone has done, or anyone will probably ever want to bother doing. And that's okay. That's why I'm making this series. I'm trying to push these simulators as far as I can go, just for my entertainment and hopefully yours. Anyhow, we'll go ahead and click OK here. I've made some change. If you've been following my flights, been making some more changes. So I've got the delay here up to 10 minutes now, so that way in between each traffic track or macro, it does not start it does not start it again for another 10 minutes. So it will constantly loop your macro. And you can record up to 35. I have it set for 30. Oh, I'm sorry, 30 with a active radius of 35 miles. Outside of that miles, it's not going to activate that airport. But I have up to 30. And so each track that you have automatically repeats. I mean, there's no way to turn that off from what I can see. But you can set how often you want it to repeat. And if you record stuff that doesn't have any voice, yeah, you could set it for 1 minute, you know, and you can have a lot of air traffic going on at an airport. Or you can set it up to 10 minutes, or how long, what is the max here? Let's find out. Okay, 30 minutes. That's a lot. But, I mean, not too bad. And you can fly full routes from one airport to another. Technically, you kind of want to maybe fly half of it, and then the other half you assign to the other airport. And it's what it plays is going to be based on which wind direction's going. So that's another thing to keep in mind. I've explained this in other flights, but I'm also doing this for the benefit of those that may have just hopped on the world tour at this point. There might be something interesting about this flight. It's like, oh, hey, I live in Grand Rapids, or hey, I live in Superior. I'm kind of interested in what's going on here. So this is the benefit for those of you who are just now jumping on. I'm not going to do this on every single flight, but just ones where I feel the impression to have to talk about it a little bit. And sometimes it's more detailed than others. And yes, I do tend to ramble. I have a series about that, as a matter of fact. Shep Rambles is the series, and so I do a lot of different subjects on that. Now that we have, now that I've talked to you to death, let's go ahead and get things going here. I gotta say though, putting in the air traffic really makes a nice touch to the simulator. I'm guessing it's doing this because of the propeller. I don't know. And it's just kind of weird. Oh, well.
Flight service, Delta 943 on 122.2. Delta 943, flight service.
Radio Mooney 13 Foxtrot. Would you please open my IFR flight plan at this time?
I am 13 Foxtrot, in case you're wondering.
Mooney 13 Foxtrot. Roger. We'll open your flight plan at 29er.
Mooney 13 Foxtrot. Roger, thank you.
Eventually, I will get my voice into this.
Flight service United 381 on 122.
It is... I do have it in Flight Simulator 98 with ProFlight 98. There's like 471 WAV files that you have to create. ProFlight 2000, it's about 2,000 WAV files. Can it be done? Yeah, it can be done. A little bit at a time. What's nice is that 470 WAV files that I made for ProFlight 98, thankfully, it can use those because it's the same format and everything. I just have 1,500 more to do after that. A lot of them are airlines, so I don't really have to do all those, but there's still a lot of air traffic stuff because ProFlight 2000 has a lot more features to it. Yeah, we had someone to come in for a landing there. Who is it? Who landed? Let's see. Is it an airline? Looks like it's just a regular plane.
Unicom Fairchild 947 Sierra 8 miles east at 3,500 landing. Request field advisory.
Fairchild, Niner, 47, Sierra, winds, steady, 0, Niner, 0, at 5, altimeter is 3001.
Grand Rapids, November 1323 is turning final. Grand Rapids.
What are we on? Unicom? It's like I'm gonna announce I'm taking the runway, but it just seems to pick whatever runway, not even one that I'm in front of, so I just do it here.
Traffic, Mooney, 13 Foxtrot. Departing runway 10 to the southeast.
So that'll be the one I go to.
Grand Rapids Airport. Tango 550 Zulu is saying farewell to
3 miles south,
Grand
at 6
Rapids.
south, landing. Request field advisory.
Golden Newstrom
Challenger,
Field.
603,
Echo 58
Foxtrot,
is turning
winds,
final.
steady, 0, Niner,
Newstrom.
0, at 5, altimeter is 3001.
I set that thing for 10 minutes. Delay. Doesn't sound like 10 minutes to me. I'm going to go ahead and get this
Grand Rapids
set up
traffic.
here.
Charlie 7 Zulu is turning final. Grand Rapids.
Turn on our lights. And we'll get moving. Although I've been able to find some great aircraft to use with this, there's even traffic tracks that you can download. Got a plane. And Lufthansa is here. I'm not sure why, but Lufthansa is here. I have not been able to find the greatest selection of scenery for Flight Simulator 2000. Now, I think scenery from Flight Simulator 98 will work on it. I should try it and see. That's a thick shadow. Almost looks like a hole. Okay. Alaska Airlines. That's cool. But it's a little disappointing that there hasn't been a whole lot of scenery made.
Unicom, Falcon 823, Zulu, 6 miles south at 4,500, landing. Request field advisory.
Falcon 823,
Golden
Zulu,
Newstrom
wind,
Field.
steady, 0,
Echo
Niner,
58
0,
doing
at
the
5,
approach.
altimeter is
Golden
3001.
Well, they're stepping on each other a lot worse than what they did before. I think I set them both to 10. I wonder if that's why. But that wasn't even 10 minutes. That wasn't even close.
Grand Rapids, November 1323 is clear of the runway. Grand Rapids.
Now, if there was a module that allowed you to connect this up with ProFlight 2000, the FSTraffic or ProFlight 2000, they wouldn't step on each other. But I don't think there was ever one made. If there was, it's like relatively impossible to get. Now, I was lucky to find the module for Flight Simulator 98.
Grand Rapids.
We'll see.
India rate with taking runway 16 to the south. Grand Rapids.
Grand Rapids. Okay, where's that guy? Oh, okay, let's wait for him to cross.
Gordon Newstrom Field. Echo 58 is downwind. I smell a fart. Gordon Newstrom.
I bet you do. I have a lot more airlines in this version than I do in Flight Simulator 98, just because I have better luck converting planes in this one. Not sure what plane that is. Of course, I recorded that air. What he? No, he's taken off, isn't he? Oh, hopefully he is. He's out of. Whoa. What's he trying to do? Land on a dirt runway? I have no idea. I think we're going to take off now, though.
Grand Rapids traffic. India ratio is leaving the area going southbound. What is that sound? Grand Rapids.
Oh, alright. Forgot my landing lights, but, you know. Alright. I had to do some editing because for some reason Flight Simulator 2000 crashed twice in the same spot. I'm not sure why. I don't know if it had something to do with the adventure or if there was something else bugged out. I don't know. Right now the adventure is not even on. Could have been the rain for all I know.
Grand Rapids traffic. India ratio is leaving the area going southbound. What is that sound? Grand Rapids.
Grand Rapids, November 1323 is turning final. Grand Rapids.
Okay. I've got the adventure started. Again, I don't know if that caused the problem or not.
Grand Rapids Airport. Tango Tango 550 Zulu is saying farewell cruel world. Grand Rapids.
Gordon Newstrom Field. Echo 58 is turning final. Gordon Newstrom.
Traffic, Mooney, 13 Foxtrot, 59er miles, north end 4,500.
Okay. We seem to be okay. Knock on wood. I'm going to go to departure.
Departure, Mooney, 13 Foxtrot, 58 miles from Kilo, Sierra, Uniform, Whiskey, to the northwest at 5,000 IFR.
Roger, Mooney, 13 Foxtrot. Cleared as found. Squad 4045. Departure, Continental, 590, level at 9,000. Continental, 590, roger.
Roger, 4045, Mooney, 13 Foxtrot.
Mooney, 13 Foxtrot. Radar contact.
I think we're okay. Well, this is going to be a lot of fun to try to edit. You got me on what was happening. It's almost as if I flew through like a Bermuda Triangle or something. Some weird pocket in time or space anomaly. Trying to get everything set back up again. Ugh. Stupid autopilot. It's set for 4,500. We're way up at 7,000. For those of you joining me on this flight for the first time, you're like, man, this guy doesn't know how to fly at all. You know, the simulators after this are a little better. Sometimes these old ones are just bugged. Sometimes they work the way they're supposed to, and other times it's just like, blah. I'm so surprised it crashed. This is the first time it's done that.
Mooney, 13 Foxtrot. Contact Minneapolis Center on 134.55.
Roger, 134.55, Mooney, 13 Foxtrot. Good day.
Mooney, 13 Foxtrot. Maintain 9,000.
I'm not tuned into the guy anymore. Why does it do that?
Minneapolis Center, Mooney, 13 Foxtrot. Out of 6,000, 3,000 IFR.
Roger, Mooney, 13 Foxtrot.
We're still at 5. Ugh, I don't know if you've noticed the color banding that was in the sky. That's something that I've mentioned where I'm not sure how to get around that. I never really looked at this mode before. 1734, 35. So according to this, we should be... Well, that's top of descent, though. Ah, okay. This is what I'm looking for. So, top decline. Was it 36 miles to that? So another 22 miles after that. Huh. So I guess we have about 20 minutes left on the flight. See if it can bring us below the clouds. Just hoping things don't crash. Alrighty.
King Air 294 Whiskey is with you. Level at flight level 220.
I have some fun,
King Air 294
fascinating
Whiskey,
facts from around
Roger.
the world to share.
Roger. King Air 294 Whiskey.
Did Whistler really paint his mom? Yes, but the painting popularly known as Whistler's Mother was never called that by the artist. James McNeill Whistler named the work Arrangement in Gray and Black the Artist's Mother. It was the admiring public who gave the painting its nickname. Whatever you call it, Whistler's painting is the only one by an American hanging in the Louvre of Paris. I've been there, been to the Louvre. Seeing the Mona Lisa, it's like the size of this book. it's small. And finally, though, we call one of the world's great masterpieces Mona Lisa. Leonardo da Vinci's painting is actually titled La Gioconda. It's a portrait of Lisa Gardini, the wife of Florentine merchant Francesco del Giocondo. Who first paid through the nose? The Swedes, and they didn't like it one bit. Though paying through the nose was not originally intended to mean paying until it hurts, not literally. During the 14th century, Swedish tax collectors working for the ruling Danish kings assessed taxes in their region based on the number of noses they counted, not on the amount of money people earned. So, large families with low incomes paid more than small families with a large income. That was deemed unfair. For example, paying through the nose. In 1521, the Swedes threw off the foreign oppression. Why is the South called the land of Dixie? Believe it or not, it had nothing to do with Charles Mason and Jeremiah Dixon, the 18th century surveyors whose Mason-Dixon line separated the North from the South, nor did it come from Mr. Dixie, a kindly slave owner. Early in the 19th century, a New Orleans bank issued $10 bills that bore the word Dix, D-I-X, the French word for 10, on their face. The bills became known as Dixies, and possessing them was a symbol of prosperity. Therefore, they became synonymous with the South. What's surprising, though, is where the theme song of the Confederacy came from. Dixie was actually composed by a black Northerner, Daniel D. Emmett. It was first performed in a Broadway show in 1860. Oh. We're kind of going off course here. Yeah, we'll just go back on course here. Alright, one more. Does tea have less caffeine than coffee? Yes and no. Pound for pound, tea leaves contain a quarter more caffeine than coffee. However, when tea is prepared for drinking, it is diluted considerably more than coffee. As a result, the average cup of tea contains 40% less caffeine. What's more, the average tea drinker tends to consume less than the average coffee drinker, and more coffee drinkers than tea drinkers take their brew black. The less room left for cream, the more room taken up by caffeine. The average glass of cola contains nearly as much caffeine as the equivalent amount of coffee. However, since we tend to drink colas faster, more of it gets into the system quicker, providing quite a jolt to the heart. And that is, as they say, is that. We are still in the clouds. Probably adjust the altimeter, that might help. We literally have our heads in the clouds. Or your pilot does. Well, this is exciting scenery right here. Nothing but white. Oh, there we go. Little something we seem to be getting down below, I think. Try to get down a little bit lower. There we go. You'll never guess what happened. It crashed again. What is up with these clouds? Okay, turning off that autopilot is becoming a problem. So I looked at the details of the crash. It has something to do. It was giving a problem with the weather DLL file. And the only thing I can think of, it was the rain. It might have something to do with the adventure, because the adventure will write a DLL file or something. I don't know. Something I'm doing doesn't like what's going on. We're not using the adventure. I turned it off. Oh, look! That's the first time I've seen clouds actually kind of cloudy. Although, that's not the greatest color, but...
Bong Airport, Oscar Papa 43 is clear of the runway, Bong.
For those of you who are new to this series and are wondering, WTF? It is not usually this bad. I don't usually have a problem with it crashing. I've had it rain before and it hasn't really crashed, but then again I was on Windows 7 native. Got me. We're going like Mach speed here in a Mooney. Trying to slow this thing down.
Bong Airport. Bravo 53 is taking the runway to the northwest. Bong Airport.
Okay, well... I think the runway is off in this direction. Well, it's right there. I think we need to go this way to come around. Turn the landing lights on again. It'll crash just before we land. I'm gonna give up after that. Not on this series, but I'll just restart Parkus and say, all right, we're here. With video camera problems. Yeah, maybe I was wrong. Maybe this is the bastard child of flight simulators. I've never had that much problem with this crashing. It's just weird. I kept wondering, you know, was it FSTraffic? Because I put in all the airlines? Was it something with... It could be related to ProFlight 2000. Like I said, it will... If you can have it generate weather, and I did something a little differently, which I'm guessing it didn't like. It's one of those troubleshooting things, you know. It's
Bong Airport. Bravo 53 is departing the area to the northwest. Bangagong. Bong Airport.
Bangagong. Get it on. I can't see a thing that way. I see one runway. Now if I could just find the other one here. I think that's it. Right there.
Bong Airport. Uniform Charlie 7 is turning final. Bong.
Bong. Now, I mentioned how in Flight Simulator 4 it didn't look like this. That's not exactly true. I actually custom created the airport and I made it look like this. So considering the time frame, it may not have been correct, but this is how I designed it because I didn't know any better. Using my elevator trim, trying to slow us down, keep us from touching down, because we don't want to touch down just yet. Getting closer though. There we go. Oh, that is not a taxiway out. That is a turnaround. Okay, no airplanes are coming just yet. Well, there is one there, out there coming. You can see it. See his lights. But I think we have enough time to taxi over here and get off the runway. Okie dokie. Well, that was fun. Not so much for me because of all the editing I'm gonna have to do, but hopefully I will make it entertaining enough to where it looks somewhat smoother for those of you who are watching it, so it doesn't look too bad. But let's hope we don't have any more crashes like we did. Oh my goodness, that was just really annoying. Anyway, thanks for joining me on this flight, and I hope you'll join me on the next leg of the journey. If you don't, I think that might be what's causing all the errors. I'm just kidding. But yeah, just check this out on the other simulators, and look at all this air traffic. Isn't this cool? And that, I'll see you next time. Take care. Have a good one. Don't forget that we're doing this same flight in the other simulators, so check those out if you'd like to make some comparisons or just relive some of those old fun memories of the past. Be sure to subscribe to be notified of future flight simulator content, and thanks very much for watching.